This African country is shockingly building a reputation with tourists. Rwanda keeps investing so much in its national security and it's now
What if I told you that while most of the world is still stuck in traffic jams, one African nation just leapfrogged everyone else and became the first on the continent to successfully test a flying taxi?
For years, Africa has searched for models, example of nations that break all patterns and demonstrate what true African-led development can look like. And out of all 54 countries, one name comes up again and again in conversation about governance, efficiency, safety, technology ambition, and national pride. And that is Rwanda.
This African country is shockingly building a reputation with tourists. Being the most cleanest and organized country, tourism is growing and it's on point. It's one of the easiest countries to do business in. Corruption index is one of the lowest in the world. Its national carrier, Rwanda Air, is becoming Africa's next biggest airline.
But why is Rwanda chosen? Why does this small landlocked nation of just 13 million people stand out so boldly on a continent of giants? Why has it become the symbol of Africa, of what Africa could be, when guided by discipline, unity, and vision? This commentary seeks to unpack the question in depth, not from Western eyes, not from outsiders who only see statistics, but from an African perspective that recognizes the deeper meaning behind Rwanda's transformation. Rwanda's story is not only about development, it's about rebirth, about agency, about a people deciding to rewrite their destiny on their own terms. In this analysis, we explore the political decisions, cultural principles, economic policies, and psychological shifts that have positioned Rwanda as a chosen example, an African benchmark of possibility. Welcome to Neo Africa. Make sure you subscribe and watch this video until the end. Now, to understand why Rwanda is chosen, we must begin with one event that reshaped the entire existence. The 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. Almost 1 million people were unalived in 100 days. Families were destroyed. Institutions collapsed. Economic shattered. Social trust evaporated. And many nations never recover from such a wound. We all know that. Many remain stuck in a circle of political revenge and ethnic hostility. But Rwanda did something very few societies have ever done. Rwanda chose unity over vengeance. After the genocide, Rwanda had two possibility paths. A path of revenge, where the country would descend into endless conflict. Two, a path of unity, where the nation will rebuild itself from within. And the leadership of Rwanda chose unity, but not the shallow unity of slogans. They chose a unity built on accountability, truth-telling, and reconciliation. Gashasa courts were established, communities-based systems of justice that allowed millions of cases to be heard locally, and these courts were not perfect, but they allowed Rwanda to deal with mass crimes swiftly. They allowed Rwanda to rebuild trust. They allowed Rwanda to restore social relationships. They allowed Rwanda to reinforce accountability. Now, there is one scholar called Priscilla Haina and other one called Mahmoud Mandani Note. These are Rwanda's reconciliation process stands unique in modern history. Not because it erased pain, but because it created a national consciousness stronger than ethnic division. Now, let's talk about the psychological rebirth, because if you want to rebirth, if you want to come up again stronger, you need to have a strong psychological. a strong psychology, a psychological rebirth. Because Rwanda's transformation began in the mind. The nation decided that it will no longer define itself by tragedy, it will define itself by rebirth. And this psychological turning point is a foundational reason Rwanda is chosen. Every development success that followed after that, every success that followed, every cleanness, every security, every governance, every infrastructure in Rwanda that followed resets on this foundation. A people who believe they can rise, they will surely rise. It's time to know that. Now, one of the clearest reasons Rwanda is chosen is its leadership model. Across the continent, many African nations struggle with corruption, weak institutions, lack of long-term planning, and leaders who prioritize personal gain over national agenda. But Rwanda's approach stands in complete contrast. How? Rwanda's government is famously strict, efficient, and results-driven. Policies are implemented quickly. Corruption is met with swift consciousness or consequences. Public officials are held to perform for performance based on contrast. Okay? Based on contracts. And this is not leadership based on charisma. This is leadership based on systems. As Harvard Kennedy School development expert Michael Popter noted that Rwanda operates more like a mission-drive institution than a traditional government. Another thing that Rwanda did, it is tolerant for corruption. How? Corruption is one of the most devastating challenges in African governments. And Rwanda is chosen because it proves something many Africans already know. When corruption is removed, development becomes visible immediately. And Rwanda has one of the lowest corruption levels on the continent. Officials are prosecuted regardless of rank, public resources are accounted for, national projects are protected from theft. And this discipline builds trust, not only in the government, but in the ideas of African potentials. Another thing, Rwanda is chosen because it plans. It clearly plans, it boldly plans, and it is realistic. Because, for example, Vision 2020 transformed the country from a low-income nation to a low-middle-income one. And Vision 2050, it is aiming for high income status through innovation and knowledge based on industries. Unlike many African countries where development plans change with every election cycle, Rwanda's strategy is continuous and consistent. This country is key to national transformation. Not country, but this continuity. The continuation of project after every cycle of election is the key to national transformation. Now, let me talk about culture. One of the most striking collaboration or striking observation for visitors is that Rwanda is clean. Not clean for Africa, clean by global standards. But the cleanness is not the real message here. The real lesson is discipline. On the last Saturday in every month, Rwandans participate in Umuganda, a national community service day where citizens work together to repair roads, they work together to build homes, to clean neighborhoods, and support community infrastructure. This is not forced. It is cultural and it is a collective responsibility. Umuganda sent a message to the world that Rwanda is chosen because it invests in social cohesion. Rwanda banned on plastic bags in 2008, long before many Western nations did, demonstrates forward-thinking environmental policy. The country takes pride in its environment. Cleanliness is part of national pride, not external pressure. Now, and this matters because of what? Because when a country looks organized and clean, investors, tourists, and other African gains confidence in its potential. Okay? Now, and a rare African achievement is here, which is safety. Safety is a currency. It unlocks tourism, it unlocks businesses, it unlocks long-term growth. And Rwanda is one of the safest countries in Africa and the world. How? Why do safety matters? Because you cannot develop a country where people are afraid. You cannot attract investment in an environment of insecurity. You cannot build trust when crime dominates daily life. Rwanda understood this, and that's why police reform were prioritized, community policing were strengthened, laws were enforced consistently, and national identity became more important than ethnic identity. Let me give an example here. Safety as a development strategy. Singapore's stories show that small nations can use safety and order to trigger massive development, and Rwanda follows a similar logic. Safety is not just a social benefit, it is a development tool, and this is one core reason that why Rwanda is chosen. Now, many African countries have natural resources that should by all logic make them wealthy. Rwanda does not. It has no large oil field. It doesn't have vast mineral deposits, no ocean ports, and very little arable land compared to its population size. Yet Rwanda rises. This is one of the greatest reasons Rwanda is chosen. It did not wait for resources to define its destiny. Instead, it builds an economic around efficiency, strategy, stability, and human capital. Okay? Rwanda follows a development model centered on these things: long-term planning, high efficiency, zero tolerance for corruption, and focusing on sector where it can realistically lead. And this strategic thinking is why scholars like Dr. Paul and Dr. Donald Kaberuka describe Rwanda's development model as pragmatic ambition. Rwanda does not try to be everything. It chooses its battle wisely. It focuses on the kind of economy that fits its geography, its population, and its future goals. Now, let me talk about the key sectors that is driving Rwanda's growth. One is tourism. Rwanda's tourism is built on mountain gorillas. You know, these are premium global attraction. We have clean and safe cities, nature conservation, and high-end luxury tourism. While many African countries chase mass tourism, Rwanda targets the high-value market. Fewer tourists, more revenue, and this preserve the environment and increase income. Okay? Now, today, service contribute more than half of Rwanda GDP. And this include financial services, hospitality, transportation, and ICT. Now, the country is transitioning from an agriculture-based economy to a service-driven one. Okay? Agriculture employs most Rwandans. Instead of leaving farmers behind, Rwanda has done what? Has improved irrigation, has provided fertilizers, has introduced land consolidation, has modernized crop management. And this increases productivity and reduces poverty dramatically. Okay? Again, Rwanda is constantly building new roads, building bridges, building airports, building smart city projects, and building housing communities. And this infrastructure attracts investors and improves quality of life. For years, Rwanda has ranked among the top African countries in the ease of doing business index. And business can register within 24 hours. They can get permitted quickly. They can operate without bribery. They can access digital government services. And these are small things, but they change everything. Investors always love stability, and Rwanda offers certainty, clarity, and efficiency. And this is a major reason Rwanda is chosen. Again, Rwanda's government is known for spending money carefully, reducing wastage, demanding performance from ministry, and monitoring projects closely. These governments build trust, it protects national resources, and it prevents the debt traps seen in some African nations. Now, another one and core reason behind Rwanda being chosen, it is its commitment to innovation as a national identity. Many developing nations adapt technology slowly, but Rwanda adapts it early and it integrates it deeply. And this sends a powerful message. Africa can lead the future, but not follow it. For example, Kigali is the emerging tech hub of East Africa. Kigali is rapidly becoming an African center for AI research, center for health tech, center for fintech, center for smart mobility solutions. The Kigali Innovation, it's called Kigali Innovation City, KIC project, is designed to position Rwanda as the East African Silicon Valley. And universities, global tech companies, and research institutions are being attracted to the ecosystem. Rwanda became the first country on earth to integrate drone delivery into a national health system. Zipline drones delivery. They deliver blood, vaccines, medical supplies, emergency materials. Rural hospitals receive life savings supplies in minutes, not in hours. And this innovation impressed global public health institutions and became a model for other African nations. Rwanda did not wait for the West to test it first, but Rwanda tested it for the world. Rwanda has a population ready for innovation. Rwanda has a partnership with global tech players. Okay? Foreign policy is one of the strongest reasons Rwanda too is chosen. Because unlike many African governments that bow to foreign pressure, Rwanda acts with sovereignty and confidence. Its approach is direct. Respect us and we will respect you. Undermine us and we will not fear confrontation. Okay? Rwanda's African-centered policy, foreign policies is built on unity, cooperation, African dignity, sovereignty, and mutual respect. Rwanda supports African integration more than many larger countries. Okay? Example, it removed visas for all Africans. It supports the African Continental Free Trade Area. It promotes intra-African travel and business. It participates in continental peacekeeping missions. So Rwanda champions the idea that Africa must solve African problems. And that's why Rwanda is a chosen country. Now, let me talk about this. Being an African from Kenya, I admire what Rwandans do. And we must rise up, all of us as Africans, join hands, united. Because if Rwanda came from genocide to be the chosen countries, what if we came from this Western influence and become one African people, united and driven with a purpose? The story of Rwanda shows me that we can make it as Africa. The story of Rwanda shows me that we can make it as black people. From genocide, about 1 million people were killed in 100 days, to this, what we are seeing. Rwanda is one of the countries that is sending a message to the white supremacy. It is sending a message to the Western countries that we do not need you. We need ourselves. And when we find ourselves, we can make it. Rwanda is making it. Why not Kenya? Why not Nigeria? Why not Ghana? Why not South Africa? Why not Sudan? Why not Congo? We can all make it if we have a purpose. And Rwanda is showing us the way. Until next episode, peace out.